Today, we're going through 240 episodes of the amazing world of Gumball, from Season 1 to Season 6, to find the most normal Gumball episode. And trust me, this is not an easy task. In a show where one moment they're getting their butt slapped, and the next they're destroying the entire city of Elmore, there's no such thing as a truly normal episode of Gumball. To do this, we're going to look at each season and pick the most normal episode, giving each one a score from 1 to 10. 1 being the least normal, and 10 being the most normal. And at the end of the video, we'll compare the 6 most normal episodes, one from each season, to find out which one is truly the most normal of all. But first, let's set a baseline and start with the very first episode of Gumball, the DVD. Basically, in this episode, Gumball and Darwin rent a copy of a movie called Alligators on a Train on DVD. But after accidentally dropping it in the garbage disposal, they have to try to fix the problem. And they try everything. Making a fake DVD out of cardboard, begging for money, and even getting a job. But nothing works. After a wild chase through the neighborhood, they finally admit their mistake and go to pay for the missing DVD, only to be told there's a $700 late fee on top of it. That'll be $700. Run. And while it's fairly normal by Gumball standards, Nicole smashing through fences and cutting across neighbors' backyards pushes it a little. So this episode gets a solid 5 out of 10 on the normal meter. Because, believe it or not, there are much more normal Gumball episodes out there. The next close contender for most normal in Season 1 is The Date. Gumball thinks he's getting ready for a date with Penny, so the entire Watterson family steps in to help him be the best he can be for his so-called date. Richard takes him to the dump to pick out clothes and money. Annis teaches him manners, and Darwin gives him self-defense lessons. But when the date finally happens, it turns out it's actually a funeral for Penny's pet tarantula, Mr. Cuddles. Of course, Gumball manages to ruin everything by insulting the funeral and freaking out at a spider picture. He redeems himself, though, by discovering that Mr. Cuddles is actually alive, hiding under the toilet seat. Although, in the process, he ends up covered in bug bites. This episode would almost be a 10 on the normal scale, if it were normal to pick up clothes from the dump or get exactly 150 spider bites. So it lands at a 7 out of 10, because aside from the 150 bites, most of it could actually happen in real life. But the one I think takes the crown as the most normal episode of Season 1 is the third. In this episode, Gumball and Darwin start to get bored of each other and decide they need a third best friend. So, they pay Tobias $20 to be their friend for the day. But as soon as Tobias joins in, he and Darwin become best friends, leaving Gumball feeling left out. To make Darwin jealous, Gumball tries hanging out with Alan, but it's tough to play with someone who doesn't even have hands. Finally, after some encouraging words from Alan, Gumball pedals across the city at insane speed, even setting himself on fire in the process, just to reunite with Darwin. I'd give this episode a 9 out of 10 on the normal meter. We're getting really close to a perfectly normal episode here, though the whole setting on fire part was a little unrealistic. Still, it's definitely a contender for the top spot. Now let's move on to Season 2, where finding a normal episode becomes a little harder. But one stands out, the banana. It all starts when Banana Joe returns a pen to Darwin, covered in bite marks. Gumball confronts him, but Joe refuses to admit that he chewed it. So Gumball secretly pokes holes in his glue bottle for revenge, causing Joe's hands to get stuck, and even leading him to rip out one of his own eyes. Though later, he just pops in new eyes and a mouth like nothing happened. In class, Gumball and Darwin find their things destroyed, and Darwin finally snaps. He breaks into Joe's locker, chews on his books, trashes his belongings, and even bites his family fountain pen. When they realize the damage they've caused, they rush to stop Joe from seeing it. But it's too late. Joe chases after them, only to knock himself out. Gumball and Darwin then beat themselves up, so it looks like Joe won. In the end, it's revealed that Joe did have Darwin's pen, but the chew marks were from Gumball himself, since he always bites his pens. So yeah, never lend Gumball your pens. This episode doesn't have any big explosions or crazy destruction, just one giant misunderstanding. so it earns a solid 8 out of 10 on the normal scale, though ripping your eye out with glue doesn't seem all that normal. Finally, after reviewing every season, the episode I consider the most normal of all Gumball is the third from season 1. It's pure social tension. Gumball gets jealous, Tobias replaces him, and he spirals through his emotions trying to fix the friendship. It's a story anyone can relate to, feeling left out, trying too hard, and wanting things to go back to normal. There are no monsters, no mutations, none of the typical Gumball madness, just awkward emotions and real consequences. And that's why I believe the third is officially the most normal episode of The Amazing World of Gumball. Well, as normal as Elmore ever gets.